At Christmas, my daughter-in-law said, "We'll be spending Christmas at my mom's house. You can stay here." I didn't argue. I just bought a ticket. When I posted the photos, my phone started ringing off the hook. Who was the man sitting next to me? That sentence. Those 9 words just broke me in two. It wasn't a scream, it wasn't a slap, it was worse. It was the tone. That tone you use when you're talking to someone who just doesn't matter anymore. Like I was a piece of old furniture in the way. You can stay here. You. Not Mom. Not Eleanor. You. Like I was the doorman. Like I wasn't the one paying the electricity bill that lit the table where we ate. Like I wasn't the one buying the turkey that she didn't even know how to cook. It was December 15th, 10 days before Christmas. We were in my dining room, the same one where I celebrated Damien's first steps 36 years ago. The same one where we held the wake for my husband Robert when cancer took him 20 years ago. The ivory-colored walls still held the echoes of laughter that didn't exist anymore. Vanessa dropped those words while cutting a piece of chicken. She didn't even look up from her plate. Her straight hair fell perfectly on her shoulders. Her flawless manicure shined under the crystal chandelier I inherited from my mother. Everything about her screamed control-planned perfection. And my son, my Damien, was sitting right next to her, his eyes glued to the embroidered tablecloth, the same tablecloth I had stitched point by point for months when he was 5. I waited for him to say something, to lift his head, to defend me. Nothing. The silence in the room got thick like fog. I could hear the ticking of the wall clock Robert gave me on our 10th anniversary. Every second was a hammer blow against my chest. "Damien," my voice came out weaker than I wanted. He cleared his throat. He kept staring at his plate. "It's just Mom. Vanessa's family insisted, and we just want a quiet Christmas, as a family." Vanessa cut him off, looking at me now. Her brown eyes, which everyone called beautiful, pierced right through me. Cold, uncomplicated. "You understand, right? At your age, all this chaos isn't good for you." At my age, I'm 68, not 90. I worked as a respected accountant until just 3 years ago. I walk 3 miles 3 times a week. I do yoga on Sundays. But to her, I was already a disposable old woman. I got up from the table. My hands were shaking, but I wasn't going to cry. Not in front of her. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. "Enjoy your meal," I said. And I went up to my room, in my own 3-story house in a quiet suburb of Chicago. The house I bought with the sweat of 40 years of nonstop work after Robert died. The house I painted, remodeled, filled with memories. The house that now felt like a prison where I was the intruder. I sat on my bed and looked out the window. The neighborhood Christmas lights twinkled like fallen stars. Every house told a story. Families together, hugs, warmth, and me. I was alone in the middle of the crowd, living under my own roof. And then something strange happened. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't sink into self-pity like I had for the last 3 years. Every time Vanessa humiliated me with her cutting remarks, her looks of contempt, her way of erasing me from my own life. This time, something inside me just clicked. I opened my laptop. My fingers moved on their own. I searched for flights. I searched for hotels. I searched for an escape. And at 11 p.m. on December 15th, I bought a plane ticket to Santa Fe, New Mexico for $900. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't ask for permission. For the first time in 3 years, I made a decision just for me. But what I didn't know that night as I saved the confirmation email was that this decision wouldn't just change my Christmas. It would change my entire life. And when that photo went viral 9 days later, when my phone started ringing nonstop, when Damien screamed on the other end of the line demanding an explanation, nothing would ever be the same. Because the man sitting next to me in that picture, that man with the calm smile and eyes full of life, he would bring more than just company. He would bring the truth. If this story resonates with your heart, stay until the end. Subscribe to the Elderly Stories channel to keep hearing stories of women who decided not to stay silent. Because sometimes liberation begins with a plane ticket. I closed the laptop. I took a deep breath, and for the first time in a very long time, I smiled. The war was just beginning. But this time, I would choose the battlefield. 3 years. 3 years living under my roof. And I had become invisible in my own home. How did I get here? At what point did I let my life become... This I go back to February 2021. Damien arrived with 2 suitcases and a look of defeat that broke my heart. "Mom, we lost the apartment." He didn't need to explain. The pandemic had hit hard. His graphic design business collapsed. The clients disappeared. The debts piled up. And the bank doesn't forgive. "It's just temporary," Vanessa said that first day walking into my house wearing Gucci sunglasses and dragging 4 Louis Vuitton suitcases. 6 months max while we get back on our feet. I opened the doors of my home. What else could I do? He was my son, my only son. The first 2 months were tolerable. Vanessa complained about everything. The mattress was too hard. The water took too long to get hot. The internet was slow, but she stayed in her space. Damien worked on his laptop from the dining room. I cooked for all 3 of them. We were a family trying to survive. But then something changed. The 3rd month, Vanessa came downstairs one morning with a decoration magazine in her hand. "Eleanor, can we talk?" I was no longer Mrs. Eleanor. I wasn't Mom, just Eleanor, like we were roommates. "This sideboard," she said, pointing to the solid mahogany piece my grandmother had brought up from New Orleans in 1952, the oldest piece in the family, the heart of my dining room. "It just doesn't go with the modern vibe of the house. What do you think if we change it?" I felt a pit in my stomach. "Vanessa, that piece is over 70 years old. It's a family heirloom." She wrinkled her nose. "But it looks so old, so dark. It makes the whole space feel heavy." "It is old," I answered, trying to sound firm. "That's why it's valuable." "Oh, Eleanor, don't be so old-fashioned." She laughed like I'd said something silly. "Sometimes you have to let go of the past to make room for the future, don't you think?" Damien was in the kitchen making coffee. He heard everything. I looked at him. I waited for his support. "Mom, it's just a piece of furniture," he said without turning around. "It's just a piece of furniture." Those 6 words took the air out of my lungs. 3 weeks later, I came home from my yoga class, and the sideboard was gone. In its place was a minimalist white shelving unit from IKEA, cold, soulless. "Where is the sideboard?" My words came out like a choked whisper. "I sold it on Facebook Marketplace," Vanessa answered, snapping pictures of the new unit for her Instagram. "I got $400 for it. Not bad for such an old piece of junk, right? I used it to help pay for groceries this month. You're welcome, by the way. $400. For a piece worth over $7,500. A piece of my history. A gift from my grandmother before she died. Sold like it was trash. I ran to my room. That time I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried since Robert's funeral, because it wasn't just the furniture, it was the message. "You're not in charge here anymore. You don't get to decide. You don't matter." And Damien, my Damien, said nothing. He didn't defend me. He didn't confront his wife. He just said, "It's just furniture, Mom. Don't overreact." But it didn't end there. The hand-embroidered curtains my mother made, the ones with bougainvillea flowers and hummingbirds, they disappeared the following week. "Too fussy," Vanessa declared, replacing them with gray roller blinds. The paintings from local art fairs I'd bought on my trips, they were moved to the utility room. "They don't match the aesthetic," she explained while hanging soulless geometric prints. My German porcelain dinnerware, the set that took me 2 years of saving to buy, the set I only used on special occasions, suddenly became her everyday dishes. "Oh, Eleanor, if you don't use it, why have it?" she told me while pouring cereal into a $60 plate. And I stayed silent. Why? Because I was afraid. Afraid that Damien would get angry. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of being the difficult mother-in-law, the bitter old woman, the one who doesn't understand. So I swallowed my words, over and over and over, until I couldn't even recognize my own voice. One random Tuesday, I think it was October 2022, I came downstairs for breakfast and found the kitchen empty, silent. It had always been my ritual. I'd make fresh coffee toast, cut up some fruit. Damien would come down and we'd eat together while he told me about his projects. But that morning I heard laughter from the dining room. I peeked in. Damien and Vanessa were eating breakfast together. Scrambled eggs, orange juice. He was telling her something funny. She was laughing. They looked complete, like they didn't need anything else, like I was the extra piece. "Good morning," I said from the doorway. Damien barely looked up. "Oh, hey, Mom. We already ate. There's coffee left in the pot." And then he went right back to talking to Vanessa as if I wasn't even there. That's how I became a ghost in my own house. I cooked just for me. I ate alone in the kitchen while they had dinner in the dining room watching shows on the new TV Vanessa bought with my borrowed credit card. I watched TV alone in my room. I slept alone with the weight of the silence crushing my chest. And the bills, oh the bills. Every month I paid. Electricity, gas, water, internet, phone, all the groceries. The meals out when Vanessa didn't feel like cooking. Her Pilates classes, the gas for Damien's car, the vet for the cat she adopted without asking me. $2,400 on average every single month. $2,400 from my pension, from my savings, from the money I had scraped together my entire life to have a peaceful retirement. And when one day, just one day, I dared to suggest that maybe they could help out with something, Vanessa looked at me with those cold eyes and said, "Eleanor, we are going through an economic crisis. You have a pension. You have this house paid off. We have nothing. Are you really going to charge us after everything we've lost?" She made me feel guilty, petty, selfish for wanting help in my own house. And the worst part, the part that hurt the most, was watching my son turn into a stranger. The Damien I knew, my loving boy, the one who would hug me for no reason, the one who told me, "You're the best mom in the world." He had evaporated. Now he was a man who avoided my gaze, who left early and came home late, who, when I asked how he was, answered in monosyllables. Fine, tired, busy. One night I found him alone in the kitchen. Vanessa had gone out with her friends. "Son," I said softly, "are you okay? I feel like we don't talk anymore." He sighed, a long, heavy sigh. "Mom, it's just, you don't understand the pressure I'm under. Vanessa is stressed the business isn't taking off, and you're just always there, watching, judging Damien. I would never—" "Yes, you do, Mom. With your silence, with your sad faces. It makes Vanessa uncomfortable. Vanessa feels uncomfortable. In my house, spending my money, after selling my memories, she feels uncomfortable." I didn't say anything else that night. I just went up to my room, closed the door, and sat in the dark. And there, in that dense silence that smelled like defeat, I realized something terrifying. I had become an expert at swallowing my words, until I couldn't recognize my own voice anymore. But I didn't know yet that the final blow would come wrapped in Christmas paper and served in my own dining room. December 15th was just around the corner, and with it, the sentence that would change everything. I became an expert at swallowing my words, until I couldn't recognize my own voice. Do you know what it feels like to become a whisper in your own life? I didn't either, until it happened to me. November 2023, 1 month before that Christmas that would break everything. Vanessa had decided to host a get-together, just an intimate gathering with friends, she told me while I was washing the breakfast dishes. She was leaning against the kitchen counter, scrolling on her phone with those perfect nude-colored nails. "It'll be like 8 people, nothing rowdy." "Of course," I replied, because that's what I did. I always said yes. "Oh, and Eleanor," she used that syrupy tone I recognized as dangerous. "Would you mind just staying in your room this afternoon? We're going to use the living room and the dining room, and we just don't want you to feel uncomfortable with all the noise." My hands stopped under the soapy water. "Stay in my room." "Yeah, just so you can rest. The girls can be so loud." She laughed. A light little laugh, as if she was doing me a favor. In my living room, in my dining room, in my house, and I was supposed to hide in my room like a grounded teenager. "Vanessa, Thanks, Eleanor, I knew you'd understand." And she left before I could finish my sentence. That afternoon, 8 women arrived. High heels, expensive perfume, rehearsed laughter. They walked into my home like it was a rented event hall. I was in my room, with the door closed, listening to their voices cut through the walls. "What a gorgeous house, Vanny." Vanny, that's what they called her, like she was the owner. "Yes, we've done several renovations. I have a good eye for design." Vanessa's voice floated full of pride. "We've done renovations. I have a good eye. Nothing about my mother-in-law's house. Nothing about, we were lucky she took us in." To her, to her friends, to the world, this was her house. And I was just the invisible tenant who paid the bills. I came downstairs 2 hours later when I heard them leaving. The living room was a disaster. Half-finished wine glasses on my marble coffee table, the one I bought on a trip 15 years ago. There was a red stain on the Persian rug, cheese and cracker crumbs everywhere. And then I saw something that froze my blood. On the floor next to the sofa were pieces of porcelain, my German dinnerware, 3 plates, smashed. I picked up the pieces with trembling hands. Each shard was a dagger. Those plates had cost me $60 each. I had cared for them for years like they were jewels. Vanessa appeared with a trash bag. "Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you. Carla tripped and dropped some plates. So clumsy." She shrugged. "But oh well, they're just plates, right? They're just plates. It's just furniture. It's just decor. It's just... Vanessa that set was... It was old Eleanor. They don't even make that pattern anymore. Besides, they were already chipped." She started gathering glasses. "You should buy something more modern, more practical." "Chipped. My plates didn't have a single scratch before she arrived. I washed them by hand. I stored them with tissue paper between each one, but now they were chipped. Like me, like my life, chipped away by someone who valued nothing. "Help me clean up, will you? I'm exhausted from playing hostess." She handed me the trash bag, and I cleaned. I picked up the wreckage of my dinnerware. I cleaned the wine stains. I straightened the furniture. I washed the glasses, like I was the maid in my own house. Damien came home late that night. He found Vanessa in bed watching TikToks. "How was your party, love?" "Amazing. Your friends are the best." He smiled. He lay down next to her. He didn't come downstairs to say hello to me. He didn't ask how my day was. I was in the kitchen eating dinner alone. Again. A piece of toast and a chamomile tea. The silence of that house screamed louder at me than any insult. The next few days were a blur of the same. Vanessa redecorating, Vanessa buying things with my borrowed money, Vanessa complaining about the cold, the heat, the food, the street noise, the way I walked on the stairs, and me swallowing all of it. Every word I wanted to scream, every complaint that died in my throat, until the episode with the statue. I had a statue of the Virgin Mary by the entrance. My mother brought it from the old cathedral when I was 10. It's not big, it's not fancy, but to me, it was everything. Every time I left the house, I would touch her robe and ask for protection. One day I came back from the market and the statue was gone. "Where is the statue from the entryway?" I asked Vanessa. She was in the dining room painting her nails. She didn't even look up. "Oh, that. I put it in a box in the utility room. It was all dusty and kind of ugly. It cheapened the whole entryway." Ugly. My mother's statue was ugly. Something inside me cracked. A small, tiny fissure in a crystal. But it cracked. "Vanessa, that statue is sacred to me." "Oh, Eleanor, don't be dramatic. God is everywhere. You don't need an old figurine to believe." She blew on her nails. "Besides, I already bought a decorative mirror for that space. It's going to look so much better." A mirror in place of my statue, so Vanessa could see her own reflection every time she walked in. How appropriate. I went to the utility room. There she was, my statue, shoved in a cardboard box with old cables and shoes nobody wore. I took her out. I wiped the dust off with my sweater, and I took her up to my room, because that was the only space left where I could still have something of my own. The weeks passed like a runaway train. Every day I felt smaller, quieter, more non-existent. I stopped going down for breakfast. They didn't wait for me anyway. I stopped cooking for 3. They ate out or ordered delivery. I stopped trying to talk to Damien. His answers were one-word replies or just staring at his phone. I became a shadow, a ghost, an echo of who I used to be. And then December arrived. The Christmas lights started appearing in the neighborhood, the carols in the stores, the smell of hot cider and fritters in the streets. I used to love Christmas. It was the time of year my house came alive. I decorated every corner. I cooked recipes my mother taught me. I invited the neighbors. We laughed, we sang, we were a family. But this year Christmas smelled like defeat. Vanessa hung minimalist white LED lights where my colorful garlands used to be. She bought a small artificial tree because the real ones make too much mess. No nativity scene, no tradition. This is what modern Christmas is, Eleanor. Less clutter, more aesthetic. More aesthetic, less soul, like everything she touched. And I watched from the second-floor railing as my house turned into a cold, perfect, empty Pinterest board. Just like me. On December 15th, I went down for dinner. I don't know why. Maybe I still had that stupid hope that something would change, that Damien would remember his mother existed, that Vanessa would have one moment of humanity. The 3 of us sat down. Chicken and sauce, rice. Vanessa talked about her plans, dinner at her mom's, the gift exchange, how excited she was. And then she said it. "We'll be spending Christmas at my mom's house. You can stay here." And my world just stopped. But in that moment, in that exact instant where the silence became unbearable, something else broke inside me. Something bigger. And this time it wasn't a fissure. It was a total collapse. That night I bought more than just a plane ticket. I bought my dignity back. I went up to my room after that cursed dinner. My legs were shaking. Not from fear, not from sadness, from rage. A cold rage that burned inside me like dry ice. I sat in front of my laptop. The screen lit up my face in the darkness. I could hear laughter downstairs. The TV was on. Damien and Vanessa enjoying their night as if nothing had happened, as if they hadn't just shattered me. I opened the browser. My fingers flew. Flights, Chicago, Santa Fe, December 24th. Options popped up. I analyzed prices times layovers. My brain was working with a strange clarity, like I had been waiting for this moment for years without knowing it. $900, round trip, leaving December 24th at 7 a.m., returning December 28th. 4 days away from this house, 4 days away from the humiliation, 4 days to just breathe. My finger paused over the purchase button. What if this was a mistake? What if this made things worse? What if Damien got angry? What if... No. Enough what ifs. Enough living in fear of upsetting others while they trampled me without a second thought. Click. Purchase confirmed. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel the pulse in my temples. I took a deep breath. 1, 2, 3 times. Then I did something I'd never done before. I opened my online bank account. I wanted to see. I needed to see in cold, hard numbers what I already knew in my heart. Bank statements. January 2021 to December 2023. I started adding every electricity payment, every grocery bill, every dinner out, every loan that was never repaid, every one of Vanessa's whims charged to my card. My hands shook as I wrote in a notebook. Utilities, groceries, gas, dinners, medical expenses for them, Vanessa's shopping. I stopped. I checked the numbers twice, 3 times. It couldn't be. I added it all up again. $86,400. $86,400 in 3 years. That was more than my annual salary when I was working. That was half of my entire life savings. That was the money I had saved for emergencies, for trips I never took, for a peaceful old age. And I had given it away. Given it to a son who no longer spoke to me, and a woman who treated me like an obstacle. I felt sick. I got up, walked to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. Who was this woman with the tired eyes? When had I gotten so old? When had I let them erase my spark? No more, I whispered to my reflection. No more. I went back to the computer. I was acting with surgical precision now. New folder. Evidence. Screenshot of the bank statement. Save. Photo of the utility bills. Save. Records of the money transfers. Save. Photos of the sideboard before Vanessa sold it. Thank God I had them on my old phone. Save. WhatsApp messages where Vanessa asked to borrow money. Save. I didn't know why I was gathering all this. I just knew I needed it. Like a soldier preparing her arsenal before the battle. Then I dialed a number I had saved for months. 3 rings. Hello. Trish. It's Eleanor. Oh my God, Ellie, a miracle. How are you? Trish, my college roommate, the only friend I didn't push away when I married Robert, the one who visited me every week after he died, the one who always told me, Ellie, you are solid gold, don't you forget it. And I had forgotten. My voice broke. Trish, I need to get out of here. Silence on the other end. Then, what happened? And right there in the darkness of my room, I told her everything. The words poured out of me like a flooding river. 3 years of silence vomited up in 20 minutes. The sideboard, the plates, the statue, Christmas, Vanessa, my son, my house that wasn't mine anymore. Trish didn't interrupt. She just listened. And when I finished, when I had no words left, she said, Come to Santa Fe, spend Christmas with me. I already bought the ticket. You did? She laughed. A warm laugh that reminded me of who I was before I became a ghost. Oh, Ellie, I knew you were still in there. You just needed to wake up. I'm scared, Trish. Of what? That if I go, I'll lose Damien for good. Another pause. Then with that wisdom that only comes with age. Ellie, do you really have him now? That question hit me like a bullet. No, I didn't. I hadn't had my son for months, maybe years. What I had was a stranger who wore his name and his face, but no longer had his heart. Come, Trish repeated, and pack your nice clothes. We're going to remind you who you are. We hung up after 2 a.m. I lay down, but I couldn't sleep. A movie was playing in my head. My life for the last 3 years. Every humiliation, every swallowed silence, every piece of myself I had given away hoping for. What love, gratitude, respect. None of it ever came. Just more humiliation, more silence, more absence. At 6 a.m. I got up. I went downstairs to the kitchen, made coffee. I took out a piece of paper and a pen. I wrote, I'll be away for Christmas. Have a good time. Short. Direct. No explanations, because I didn't owe them any more explanations. I left the note on the dining room table next to the coffee pot. Then I went upstairs and started to pack. I got the suitcase from the closet, the blue one Robert gave me for our 15th anniversary. So you can travel the world, my love, he had said. I'd never used it. Until now, I folded my clothes with care. Not the old clothes I wore around the house, not the worn-out sweatpants or the formless blouses. I pulled out the dresses from the back of the closet that I hadn't worn since before they arrived. The wine-colored one, the navy blue one, the floral one that Robert loved. They still fit. Maybe a little snug, but they fit. I packed my good shoes, my arpege perfume which I only used for special occasions, the pearl necklace my mother gave me. I was packing myself, the Eleanor who existed before the silence. I closed the suitcase. It was 10 a.m. on December 16th, 8 days until Christmas. Damien and Vanessa were still asleep. As always, they woke up late on weekends. I carried my suitcase downstairs silently. I hid it in the utility room. For the next few days, I acted normal. I cooked. I cleaned. I said hello. But inside something had shifted. It didn't hurt anymore when Vanessa talked about her Christmas plans. I no longer waited for Damien to include me in his conversations, because I had plans too, and they weren't invited. On the night of December 23rd, Vanessa and Damien finished packing to go to her mother's house. "Do you need anything before we go, Eleanor?" Vanessa asked with that fake sweetness. "No, I'll be fine. There's food in the fridge. Not much, but there's some." She smiled. "We'll see you on the 26th. Damien didn't even say goodbye. He just loaded the suitcases into the car. I watched them go from my bedroom window, and when the car's taillights disappeared around the corner, I smiled. For the first time in 3 years, I truly smiled. I set my alarm for 5:30 a.m. Tomorrow, my new life would begin. Although I didn't know yet that the man I was about to meet wouldn't just change my Christmas. He would change everything. At the airport, a 68-year-old woman got on the plane. The one who got off was no longer the same. 5:30 a.m., December 24th. The alarm went off in the dark. I shut it off before the second beep. My heart was beating like a war drum. I got up in silence even though there was no one in the house. The ghosts of 3 years of humiliation still made me walk on eggshells. I showered. The hot water washed away more than just skin. It washed away years of shrinking, of making myself small, of disappearing. I chose the terracotta-colored dress I had packed. I put it on in front of the mirror. It was snug in the waist, but I looked alive. The color made my skin glow. It brought out the brown in my eyes. When was the last time I got dressed for myself and not just to be invisible in my own home? I put on makeup. Light, natural, a little blush, mascara, pale pink lipstick. The woman in the mirror looked back at me with something that looked like hope. 6:15 a.m. I went downstairs with my suitcase. The house was sunk in that silence I knew so well, but now it wasn't suffocating me. Now it was a promise of freedom. I ordered an Uber. It arrived at 6:40. Before I left, I looked at my house one last time. The furniture Vanessa had chosen, the walls that no longer told my story, the spaces where I no longer existed. I closed the door without looking back. The airport was a swarm of families, kids running in Santa hats, couples hugging, suitcases full of gifts. I walked alone, but I didn't feel lonely. I felt free. The flight left on time. Seat 12B. Window. I watched Chicago get smaller and smaller under the clouds, the city where I was born, where I got married, where I was widowed, where I raised my son, where I lost my voice. I closed my eyes and breathed. The plane landed in Albuquerque at 9:30 a.m. From there, a shuttle bus to Santa Fe. Another hour and a half. I arrived at noon. Santa Fe welcomed me with its impossible blue sky, cobblestone streets, colonial houses painted yellow, orange, and bright pink. The smell of cinnamon and coffee floated in the air. Guitar music drifted from a hidden cafe. It was like walking into another world. Trish was waiting for me at her front door, a small 2-story house with purple bougainvillea spilling from the terrace. When she saw me, she ran to me. "Ellie," we hugged. And right there in that hug, something inside me finally broke. I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried in 3 years. I cried for the sold sideboard, the broken plates, the hidden statue, the stolen Christmases, my lost voice. I cried it all out. Trish just held me. She didn't say, "Don't cry." She didn't say, "It will be okay." She just held me. And that was enough. Later, when I had no tears left, she took me inside. "Come on." I made up the room with the best view. "And I have a plan for tonight." "A plan?" "It's Christmas Eve, Ellie. Did you think I'd let you sit here eating leftovers?" She took me to my room. Peach-colored walls, a bed with a hand-embroidered quilt, windows that opened onto a garden full of flowers. "Rest, take a shower, be ready at 7. "Ready for what?" Where are we going? She smiled with that mischievous glint I'd known since we were 20. It's a surprise. I took another shower, not because I needed to, because I wanted to. Hot water, lavender soap, time for myself with no rush, no guilt, no fear of someone knocking on the door demanding something. I put on the navy blue dress, the one Robert always said made me look elegant. Trish appeared with a box. Here, I bought you this. I opened it. Inside was a cream-colored silk shawl with gold threads. Trish, no buts. You're wearing it. Tonight, you are going to shine. 7:15 p.m. We left walking. The streets of Santa Fe were lit with lanterns. Families were strolling. Vendors offered hot cider and fritters. Carols played from the churches. It was a real Christmas, not Vanessa's cold minimalist Christmas. It was Christmas with a soul. Where are we going? I asked. To Mark and Martha's house. Some friends you're going to love. They host a dinner every Christmas. Delicious food. Good company. She looked at me out of the corner of her eye. And there's someone I want you to meet. My stomach did a flip. Trish, no. Relax. He's just a friend. Retired professor. A widower like you. A good person. That's it. We arrived at a mustard-colored adobe house. From outside, we could hear laughter and music. We went in. The living room was full of people. 15, 20 people maybe. All ages. Some young, some older like us. Everyone with a glass in their hand. Everyone genuinely smiling. Trish, a woman with white hair and joyful eyes, approached. You're right on time, and you must be Eleanor. Martha, this is my best friend Ellie. Welcome, dear. There are no strangers here, just family we haven't met yet. She introduced me to everyone, names I instantly forgot from nerves, but kind faces, warm hands, genuine hugs. And then I saw him. On the terrace, looking at the city lights, stood a man, tall with silver-gray hair combed back, black-rimmed glasses, a wine-colored sweater. His posture was relaxed but elegant. Trish nudged me gently. Come on, I'll introduce you. We walked toward the terrace. He turned when he heard us, and when our eyes met, it wasn't love at first sight. I'm not 15. It was something deeper. It was recognition, as if my soul said, ah, here is someone who understands the language of pain and survival. Harry, this is Eleanor. Ellie, this is Harry. A pleasure to meet you. His voice was deep, soft, and confident. He held out his hand. I took it. His grip was firm but warm. The pleasure is all mine, I replied. Trish vanished with an excuse about helping in the kitchen. We were left alone. Trish told me you're visiting from Chicago. Yes, I needed some air. He smiled, as if he understood more than what I'd said. I came to Santa Fe looking for air, too. 5 years ago, after my wife passed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss, too. Trish didn't tell me details, but she mentioned you've had a hard time. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was the distance from my house. Maybe it was his non-judgmental gaze. Maybe it was the wine Martha had given me. I told him. Not everything, but enough. The sideboard, the plates, Vanessa, the sentence from that dinner on the 15th. He listened without interrupting. His eyes never left mine. And when I finished, he sighed deeply. Do you know the problem with being a good person, Eleanor? What? That people mistake kindness for weakness. And they take advantage until they've bled you dry. I was the same way, he continued. After Elena died, my kids wanted to sell the family house, divide everything up immediately, as if the memories were worthless, as if I didn't matter. He took off his glasses, cleaned them. One day I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. I had let grief and guilt turn me into someone who just says yes to everything. So what did you do? I moved to Santa Fe, alone. I told them the house was mine and it would stay mine until I decided otherwise. They got angry. They stopped talking to me for 2 months. He smiled. They were the 2 best months of my life. I laughed. For the first time in I don't know how long, I laughed out loud. And after they understood that Dad wasn't an ATM or a piece of furniture, he was a person with dignity. And when they started treating me like one, we started talking again. I don't know if Damien will ever understand that. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. But that's not your problem, Eleanor. Your problem is that you've forgotten that you have a right to be happy, too. Those words cut right through me. A right to be happy. When did I stop believing I deserved that? The dinner was beautiful. Roast turkey, roast cod, creamed spinach, hot spiked cider, gingerbread even though it wasn't the season. Laughter, stories, toasts. Harry sat next to me. We talked about everything. About books. He had been a literature professor. About travel. About food. About life. There was no flirting, no propositions. Just 2 people sharing a table and a conversation. But when our hands brushed passing the bread, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. At 11 p.m., Martha took out her camera. Group photo. Everyone to the terrace. We all gathered. Trish pulled me toward the front. Harry ended up next to me. Say, Merry Christmas. Flash. One more. Now just the people sitting. I sat in one of the chairs on the terrace. Harry sat next to me. Behind us, the lights of Santa Fe glittered. Trish took the picture with my cell phone. Perfect, she said, looking at the screen. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I didn't know that photo, that simple photo of two people smiling under the Christmas sky, was about to change absolutely everything. We walked back to Trish's house just after midnight. We walked slowly on the cobblestone streets. So, what did you think of Harry? He's nice. Just nice, she smiled. Trish, I'm 68 years old. I'm not looking for romance. You're not looking for it, but maybe it found you. I laughed, but deep down, my heart was beating with something I thought was dead. Excitement. Before bed, I checked my cell phone for the first time all day. 0 calls from Damien, 0 texts. I wasn't surprised. It didn't hurt. It just confirmed what I already knew. But tomorrow everything was going to change. Because Trish had already posted that photo to my Facebook, and my phone was about to explode. One single picture, 847 likes, and my phone started ringing off the hook. December 25th, 11:37 a.m. I woke up to the sun pouring through the window, warm golden light, the kind of light I hadn't seen in years because at my house I always kept the curtains closed so I wouldn't damage Vanessa's new furniture. I stretched in bed, no rushing, no guilt. No knot in my stomach wondering what humiliation was waiting for me today. I smelled fresh coffee. I went downstairs in my pajamas, something I never did at my house. I always had to be dressed presentable, just in case Vanessa saw me looking sloppy and commented on the importance of self-care at any age. Trish was in the kitchen making chilaquiles. Good morning, sleeping beauty. Good morning. I slept like I haven't slept in years. That's what happens when you sleep without ghosts in your head. She poured me a coffee. How are you feeling? Good. Really good, actually. I posted the pictures from dinner on Facebook last night. Did you see them? I haven't checked my phone. Oh, Ellie, you need to get with the times. People react fast. Look. She pulled out her phone. She showed me my Facebook profile. And there it was, the photo from last night. Harry and me sitting on the terrace. Him in his wine-colored sweater smiling calmly. Me in my navy blue dress and the gold shawl. The lights of Santa Fe in the background like a Christmas card. But it wasn't the photo that got my attention. It was the caption Trish had written. The happiest Christmas in years. Thank you, Harry, for the wonderful company. My stomach twisted. Harry, Trish, why did you write that? Because it's true. You were happy last night, and he had a lot to do with it. She winked at me. Besides, what's wrong with it? It's just a photo. Just a photo. It had 847 likes, 156 comments. I started to read. Mrs. Eleanor, you look so lovely. Merry Christmas. Carmela, my neighbor. My goodness, how elegant. And that man, a new boyfriend. Lupita from the corner store. Aunt Ellie, you look gorgeous. You were keeping him a secret. Ha ha. Sophia, my niece. And more and more and more. Most of them were nice messages. Congratulations. People surprised to see me smiling like that. But then I saw one that chilled my blood. Eleanor, where are you? Damien asked if we knew anything. Call him. Beatrice, my godmother. I checked the time on the comment. 9:15 a.m., 2 hours ago. I grabbed my phone. I'd left it on silent since last night. When I unlocked the screen, I almost dropped it. 23 missed calls from Damien, 17 WhatsApp messages, 5 from Vanessa, 3 voicemails. My heart was pounding in my ears. I opened WhatsApp. Damien's messages started out calm. 7:42 a.m. Mom, where are you? You're not at home. 8:03 a.m. Mom, please answer. We're worried. 31 a.m. Mom, I saw your Facebook. Who is that man? And then they got desperate. 9:12 a.m. Mom, answer me. Vanessa saw the photo. She is furious. 9:28 a.m. Why are you doing this to us? Why didn't you tell us you were going out with someone? 9:45 a.m. The neighbors are asking. Vanessa's family saw the photo. I need you to call me. 10:18 a.m. Mom, this is extremely irresponsible. You need to explain yourself. Vanessa's messages were direct and venomous. 9:35 a.m. Eleanor, how embarrassing. What are people going to say? 9:51 a.m. Damien is very upset by your behavior. You should think about your family before making these scenes. 10:33 a.m. Everyone has seen the photo. Who is that man? How long have you been dating? At your age? At my age. There it was again, that phrase reminding me that to them, I no longer had the right to live. Trish was watching me worried. What is it? I showed her the messages. Oh, Ellie. She didn't seem surprised. She seemed satisfied. It was only a matter of time. A matter of time for what? For them to realize you're not a piece of furniture they can store in the basement when they don't need you. My phone started ringing. Damien. I stared at the screen, his name flashing, the picture I still had of him from 5 years ago when he used to smile for real. Trish put her hand on mine. Are you going to answer? I took a deep breath. Yes, but on my terms. I answered. Hello, Mom. Why weren't you answering? Damien's voice exploded. In the background, I could hear Vanessa yelling something I couldn't understand. Good morning, Damien. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Seriously. Mom, where are you? Who is that man in the photo? I'm in Santa Fe, spending Christmas with my friend Trish, and that man is Harry, a friend of hers. A friend. Vanessa's voice got closer to the phone. I was on speakerphone now. Eleanor, you can't just do these things without telling us. You're embarrassing us. Something inside me clicked. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was absolute clarity. I'm embarrassing you. My voice came out calm. Too calm. Me. Yes, the neighbors are asking. The family is asking. Everyone saw that photo. And what exactly is wrong with the photo, Vanessa? You're with a man at your age without telling us anything. Interesting. I walked out onto Trish's terrace. The sun was warm on my face because I don't recall you asking my permission to spend Christmas without me. Silence. Mom, that's different, Damien started. Different why? Because you two have the right to make plans and I don't. Because we're a couple, Vanessa exploded. And you're, what? An old woman who's supposed to stay locked up waiting for scraps of attention. More silence. Trish was watching me from the kitchen, her eyes shining. She gave me a thumbs up. Mom, that's not it. Damien sounded lost, like a child who doesn't understand why he's being punished. Then what is it, son? Because I need you to explain to me why you can exclude me from Christmas without a second thought, but I can't leave my own house without your permission. Because we're your family, Vanessa yelled. Family is built on respect, Vanessa, not convenience. That sentence came out of my lips as if I'd rehearsed it my whole life, but I hadn't. It came from that place where I had stored 3 years of compressed silence. I can't believe you're doing this to us. Vanessa's voice was shaking, but it wasn't sadness. It was the rage of losing control. After everything we've sacrificed living in that house, sacrificed, that word, that was the last straw. Sacrificed, Vanessa, I have paid $86 and $400 in 3 years to support you. Electricity, gas, water, food, gas for the car, your little hobbies, everything. And I never, not once, even got a thank you. Even God. Mom, that's not. I have the receipts, Damien. I have the bank transfers. I have everything documented. My voice was still calm but iron firm. So don't you talk to me about sacrifice. I know what it means to sacrifice, and I also know what it means to be used. Another silence. This one longer, denser. When are you coming back? Damien asked. His voice sounded small. The 28th. We need to talk. Yes, I said. We do. About a lot of things. I took a deep breath. Have a lovely Christmas. And I hung up. My hands were shaking. I almost dropped the phone. Trish ran over and hugged me. That was incredible, Ellie. I'm trembling. That's adrenaline. That's power. That's your voice after 3 years of silence. I sank into a chair. The phone was still buzzing. More messages, more calls. But I didn't open them. For the first time in my life, I decided when and how to respond. Do you think I did the right thing? I asked the community. Ellie, you did what was necessary. What you should have done years ago. I looked at the photo again. Harry and me, smiling. So simple. So happy. And I realized something. It wasn't the photo that bothered them. It was seeing me happy, without them. It was discovering that I could exist and shine and live without their permission. That's what they couldn't stand. My phone rang again. This time it wasn't Damien. It was an unknown number. Hello, Eleanor. A man's voice. Formal. Professional. Yes, who is this? This is Mr. Montoya, your lawyer. I apologize for calling you on Christmas Day, but your son Damien was here yesterday. The world stopped. My son was at your office. Yes, he was asking about your will and about the deed to the house. I felt a fist punch me in the stomach. What did you tell him? Nothing. I told him that information is confidential and I can only discuss it with you. But Eleanor, I think we should schedule an appointment soon. I hung up. Trish looked at me, her face pale. What happened? Damien went to see my lawyer, asking about my will. I didn't need to say anything else. The pieces slammed together. That snake. Vanessa didn't just want my house to live in. She wanted to make sure it was hers. And my son was helping her. That afternoon, I couldn't enjoy the Christmas meal Trish prepared. I couldn't focus on the movies. I could only think about one thing. I needed proof. I needed to know just how deep the betrayal went. And I had 3 days in Santa Fe to plan my next move, because this war was just beginning. And now I was playing to win. When I stopped being available, I discovered who truly needed me and who was only using me. December 26th, 8:43 a.m. I didn't sleep well. Mr. Montoya's words kept ricocheting in my head. Your son was here, asking about your will. I got up before dawn. I made coffee in Trish's kitchen without making a sound. I sat on the terrace with an old notebook I found in a drawer, and I started to write. Everything I remembered, everything I had, everything I needed. February 2021. Damien and Vanessa move in. Temporarily. April 2021. Vanessa sells the antique sideboard without permission. $400. June 2021. My mother's embroidered curtains disappear. August 2021. First loan on my credit card. $750 for Vanessa's clothes. The list grew and grew. 3 years of petty theft, petty humiliations, the small deaths of my dignity, and at the bottom of the list I wrote December 2023. Damien asks about my will behind my back. Trish appeared with 2 mugs of hot chocolate. What time did you get up? 5. She sat next to me. She looked at my list. Oh, Ellie, I need to understand what's happening. I need to know what they're planning. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I can't go back to that house without a plan. My phone vibrated. Damien again. This time, I answered on the 3rd ring. Hello. Mom. His voice sounded tired, broken. We need to talk. I'm listening. Not on the phone. When you get back, please. There was something in his tone, something different. It wasn't anger. It wasn't demanding. It was fear. Did something happen, Damien? A long silence. Heavy breathing. She's really upset. She says we can't trust you anymore. That the photo was an act of rebellion to humiliate us. Humiliate you? I just spent Christmas with a friend. I know, I told her that. But she says you're changing, that you're becoming selfish, for having my own life, for smiling in a picture, for existing without her permission. And what do you think, Damien? Another silence. I don't know what to think, Mom. I'm confused. Vanessa says one thing, you say another, and you, what? I just want us to be a family again. Those words cut right through me. Because they came from the boy I raised, from the son I built with my own hands after Robert died, from the Damien that existed before Vanessa. But I also knew that Damien, maybe he didn't exist anymore. Son, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Why did you go to see my lawyer? The silence was so long I thought he had hung up. How did you know that? He called me. He's my lawyer, Damien. It's his job to notify me when someone asks about my documents. Mom, it was Vanessa's idea. I don't care whose idea it was. I asked you why. She said we should be prepared, in case something happens to you, to know how things stand. In case something happens to me. I'm 68, Damien, not 90. I'm perfectly healthy. I know, but what are you waiting for me to die soon so you can keep my house? No, Mom, it's not that. Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you two are planning my funeral while I'm still breathing. I heard him crying, held back sobs, like when he was 7 and fell off his bike. I didn't want to. Vanessa said it was just to be informed, that you hadn't told us anything about your will, and that it was important to know. I went because she insisted so much. I thought she was right, my son, my boy. So manipulated, he no longer knew where his voice ended and hers began. Damien listened to me carefully. My will is my decision. My house is my asset. And when I die, which I hope is many years from now, everything will be handled exactly as I decide. Do you understand? Yes. And if you want to keep living in my house, we are going to have to set new rules, because what's been happening these last 3 years is not going to continue. What do you mean? We'll talk about it when I get back, the 28th in the afternoon. I expect you both in the dining room at 6. Mom, I love you, son. But I am not going to let myself be disrespected in my own home. Not by you, not by anyone. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from determination. Trish hugged me from behind. I'm so proud of you. I'm scared, Trish. Fear means you care, but you're not going to let fear paralyze you, right? No, not anymore. That afternoon, we went for a walk through Santa Fe. I needed to clear my head. We went into an art gallery, then a bookstore that smelled like old paper and coffee. We bought crafts at the market, a pair of silver earrings, a sky blue shawl, and in every place I smiled. Not forced smiles, Not smiles to be polite, real smiles, because for the first time in years, I was living for me. At sunset, we sat in the main square. The pink and gold parish church towered against the dying sun. You know what the saddest part is, Trish? What? That it took me 3 years to realize that I deserve respect, too. It's never too late, Ellie. My phone buzzed. A WhatsApp message. It wasn't Damien. It was Harry. Hello, Eleanor. Trish gave me your number. I hope I'm not intruding. I just wanted to know how you are. I heard you had a difficult day. If you need to talk, I'm here. No pressure. Just as a friend. Harry. I read the message 3 times. No one, absolutely no one, had asked me how I was in years. I replied, "Hi, Harry. Thanks for asking. It's been an intense day, but a necessary one. I'd like to talk. Do you have time tomorrow?" The reply came in seconds. All the time in the world. How about the cafe on Trish's corner at 11? Perfect. I'll see you there. Trish was watching me with that conspiratorial smile. What? Nothing. It's just, 3 days ago, you got here broken. And now you're making plans with a man who actually treats you like a person. It's just coffee, Trish. Sure, just coffee. She laughed. With the man in the photo that drove your daughter-in-law crazy. And we both laughed. That night I checked my email. There was one from Mr. Montoya. Mrs. Eleanor, confirming your appointment for January 3rd at 10 a.m. at my office. It is important we discuss the modifications you wish to make to your will and the legal measures we can take to protect your assets. Please bring all documents you have, receipts, transfers, proof of expenses. Sincerely, Ricardo Montoya. I closed the laptop. The plan was forming in my head like a puzzle, but one piece was still missing. I needed clear evidence of Vanessa's intentions. I needed to hear from her own mouth what she was planning. And I had an exact idea of how to get it. December 27th, 11:00 a.m. The cafe smelled like cinnamon. Harry was already there reading a book. When he saw me, he stood up. He pulled out my chair like a gentleman from another time. You look better than yesterday. I feel better. We ordered. Coffee for me, an Americano for him, sweet bread. Trish told me a little, he said carefully. If you want to talk about it, I'm here. And if not, we can talk about anything else. I told him. Not everything, but the essentials. The will, Damien, the manipulation. He listened without interrupting, without judging, without giving unsolicited advice. And when I finished, he said something that changed my perspective. Do you know the problem with manipulators? What? They only work when you let them. The day you set boundaries, all their power disappears. But he's my son Harry. I'm not telling you to abandon him. I'm telling you to love him from a place of self-respect. Loving doesn't mean letting yourself be destroyed. Those words were tattooed onto my brain. Love from a place of self-respect. How did you do it with your kids? I told them the truth. I told them I loved them. But that I wasn't going to live the rest of my life being their bank and their jester. That if they wanted a relationship with me, it would be on terms of mutual respect. And did it work? With 2 out of 3, yes. My middle son, it's still difficult, but I don't carry the guilt anymore. I did my part. The rest is his decision. We left the cafe 2 hours later. We walked without a destination. We talked about everything and nothing. Books, music, trips we'd taken, and trips we wanted to take. And when he dropped me off at Trish's house, he took my hand. Eleanor, you're going to get through this. Stronger. More. You. How do you know? Because you already started. The hardest part isn't reaching the finish line. It's starting to walk. That night, I packed my things. Tomorrow, I was returning to Chicago, to my house, to the confrontation. But this time, I was returning with something I didn't have when I left. I was returning with my voice, and I was ready to use it, even if it meant losing everything I thought I had left. Because I had learned something in these 4 days. It is better to be alone with dignity than accompanied in humiliation. And my son, my Damien, would have to choose. Whose side was he on? There are secrets you keep for protection and secrets you reveal for justice. December 28th, 3:47 p.m. The plane landed in Chicago under a gray sky, as if even the weather knew I was returning to war. Trish hugged me at the airport before I took my cab. Remember, you're not alone. If you need anything, anything at all, you call me. I know. Thank you, Trish, for everything. Don't thank me. This is just the beginning. I want you to tell me how it all goes. I'll call you tomorrow, after the meeting with the lawyer. The taxi moved down the highway. Every mile was a step closer to my house, the house that didn't feel like home anymore. My phone vibrated. Damien. Mom, what time do you land? I'm about an hour out. Do you still want to talk today? Yes, at 6, in the dining room. Okay, we'll be here. He hung up fast. Too fast. I got home at 5:15. I took out my keys, but before I could open it, the door swung open. Damien was standing there, red eyes, deep, dark circles. He looked exhausted. "Mom." He didn't hug me. He just stepped aside to let me pass. The house smelled different, cleaner than usual, like when you know important guests are coming and you scrub the corners. Had they cleaned for me? I took my suitcase to my room. Everything was the same. No one had been in here. This was my only uninvaded territory. I changed my clothes. Nothing fancy. Jeans, a white blouse, the blue shawl I bought in Santa Fe. I looked in the mirror. "You can do this," I told myself. "You have the truth on your side." I went downstairs at 6 o'clock sharp. Damien and Vanessa were sitting in the dining room. He was nervous. She had her arms crossed, wearing that look of ice I knew so well. I sat at the head of the table, my spot, the spot I hadn't taken in months. Nobody spoke for 10 eternal seconds. "Well," I said finally, "here we are." Vanessa spoke first, of course. "Eleanor, I think we owe you an apology." "An apology?" "Yes. Maybe we were too harsh about the photo. We understand you have a right to have friends." "How generous, granting me permission to have friends." "Thank you, Vanessa. But I didn't call this meeting to talk about the photo." Damien cleared his throat. "Mom, I want to explain about the lawyer." "I'm listening." "It was my fault. Vanessa suggested we ask about the will, but I was the one who made the decision to go. I shouldn't have done it without talking to you first." At least he was taking responsibility. That was something. "And why did you do it, Damien?" "Because," he glanced at Vanessa. She was staring at him like a trainer giving silent commands. "Because we wanted to know how things stood, to plan our future." "Does your future include my death?" "No, Mom, it's not that." "Then what is it?" "Because from my perspective, it looks like you're sizing up the inheritance before I'm even gone." Vanessa sighed, full of drama. "Eleanor, don't be so dramatic. All families talk about these things. It's normal to want to be informed." "Normal, Vanessa? What's normal is asking the person directly, not sneaking off to their lawyer behind their back. It's just that you never want to talk about these things," she shot back with that condescending tone. "You always avoid it, and we have a right to know what's going to happen to this house." There it was, the truth spilling out like venom. "A right? What right do you have to my house?" "Well, we've been living here for 3 years. We've helped with expenses." I couldn't help it. I laughed, a dry, bitter laugh. "Helped with expenses? Vanessa, did you really just say that?" "Yes. We've contributed, not everything but some." I took out my phone. I opened the photos folder. I showed them the screenshots of my bank statements. $86,400. That's what I have spent on you in 3 years. Utilities, water, gas, food, gasoline, all your whims. $86,400. Damien turned pale. "Mom, I had no idea it was that much. Because you never asked. You never cared." "That's not fair," Vanessa intervened. "We lost our apartment. We were in crisis. You're his mother. It was your obligation to help us." "Obligation? My obligation was to raise him until he was an adult. And I did that. What happened after that was my generosity. Generosity that you two mistook for weakness." Vanessa stood up from her chair. "I knew it. I knew this trip to Santa Fe was about turning you against us. I'm sure that friend of yours filled your head with ideas." "Nobody filled my head with anything. She just helped me remember that I deserve respect too." "Respect? And what about our respect? You embarrassed us with that photo. Everyone asking who that man was, as if you were some teenager looking for romance." "And what if I was? I'm 68 years old, Vanessa. I'm not dead, and I do not need your permission to live my life." "Damien, say something." Vanessa tugged on his arm. "But my son just had his head in his hands." "Shut up, Vanessa. Just shut up." It was the first time in 3 years I had ever heard him stand up to her. Vanessa froze. "What did you say?" "I said shut up. Mom is right about everything." He lifted his head. He had tears in his eyes. "We've been ungrateful. I have been ungrateful." "Damien." "No, Vanessa. She's right. My mom opened her home to us. She supported us. She paid for everything. And we treated her like an inconvenience. She's to blame too. She plays the victim, but she never says anything. How are we supposed to know she's upset if she doesn't talk? Because she shouldn't have to talk. It's her house. We should have had the decency to be respectful without her having to ask." Vanessa grabbed her purse. "I am not staying here to listen to this. If you're going to take her side, fine." She walked to the door. She turned. "But let's be clear, Eleanor. If you kick us out, you'll be completely alone. No son, no future grandchildren, no family. Is that what you want?" Her words were designed to wound me, and they did. They stung, but not like before. "Vanessa, If the only way I can have a family is by sacrificing my dignity, then I choose to be alone." She let out a cruel laugh. "Well, what a sad life for you." And she walked out, slamming the door. Damien and I were left in the silence. The wall clock ticked. 6:47 p.m. "I'm sorry, Mom." His voice was broken. "Forgive me. For everything. For being a coward. For not defending you. For letting all this happen. Damien." He wiped his tears. "When Dad died, you became my hero. You worked twice as hard. You gave me everything. You never complained. And I grew up thinking that was normal, that moms were indestructible, that they'd always be there no matter how you treated them. And when I met Vanessa, I fell in love. And little by little, I let her decide for me. It was easier to go along with her than to confront her. And you never said anything. So I just assumed it was okay. And the will," he lowered his head, "it was her idea. She said we should make sure the house was in my name, that you might make a change and leave us out, that we needed to protect ourselves." "Protect yourselves? From me? From your own mother?" "I know. It sounds horrible. But she has a way of making everything sound reasonable, like I'm the fool for not thinking of these things." I stood up. I walked over to him. I put my hand on his shoulder. "Damien, I love you. I will always love you, but I cannot keep living like this. I know. I have an appointment with Mr. Montoya tomorrow. I'm changing my will." He went pale. Are you cutting me out?" "No, but I am setting conditions, and I am making sure that you two cannot sell it or kick me out of here. That's fair. And if you continue to live here, you will pay rent, $1,500 a month. That's also fair. And Vanessa will have to apologize, for real, and respect my spaces, my things, and my life. I don't know if she'll agree to that. Then she will have to leave, and you will have to decide if you go with her, or if you stay." His eyes filled with panic. "Mom, you don't have to decide right now, but understand this. I am not going to be invisible in my own house anymore. It's over." He nodded, crying silently. I hugged him, like when he was little, like when he had nightmares, and I was his refuge. "I love you, son, but right now, I have to love me too. I understand, and I am so, so sorry." That night I slept in my own bed feeling something strange. Peace, fear, yes, fear. Uncertainty too, but mostly peace, because I was no longer carrying the weight of silence. And tomorrow the real change would begin. Sometimes to discover the truth you have to pretend to be weak. December 29th, 7:23 a.m. I woke up just as the sun was peeking out. I had slept better than I had in months, despite everything. Or maybe because of it. I went downstairs to make coffee. The house was silent. Damien had probably been up all night. Vanessa hadn't come back, or so I thought. When I walked into the kitchen, she was there, sitting at the counter, phone in hand, perfectly made up at 7 in the morning as if nothing had happened. "Good morning, Eleanor." Her tone was sweet, too sweet, like poisoned honey. "Good morning. Sleep well." "Yes." I made my coffee in silence. I could feel her eyes drilling into my back. "Eleanor, I think things got out of hand last night." I didn't answer. I just kept stirring my coffee. "We all said things we didn't mean. The heat of the moment, you know." I turned around. I looked her straight in the eye. "Did you not mean what you said?" She laughed. Light, fake. "Of course not. I'm fond of you, Eleanor. You're my husband's mother. We're family. Family." That word she used like a shield whenever it suited her. "Vanessa, what is this? What are you referring to? This performance. What do you want?" Her smile trembled, just for a second, but I saw it. "I just want us to have peace, for us to go back to being the family we were, the family where I paid for everything and you two did whatever you wanted." Her gaze hardened, but she quickly softened it again. "Look, I know the money bothers you. That's fine. Damien and I talked. We can start contributing. How much? What? How much can you contribute?" "Well, I don't know. $250 a month. $250. Not the $1,500 I was going to ask for rent, and not the $2,400 average I spent on them." "I see. It's just..." "Damien's business is barely recovering, Eleanor. We can't give more, but it's something right. It's a gesture of goodwill. A gesture. After $86,400. And in exchange for this gesture, she feigned surprise. "Nothing. Just... Well, since we'll be contributing, it would only be fair if we had some say in the house decisions. Don't you think?" There it was, the hook hidden under the bait. "What kind of decisions?" "Oh, you know, normal things. If we're going to remodel something, if we're going to make changes, you know, to feel more a part of this." "Vanessa, you already made changes. You sold my furniture. You changed my decor. You threw away things that were important to me." Oh, Eleanor, that was so long ago. You have to get over it, don't you? Get over it. As if my memories were trash I should just forget. In that moment, something clicked in my head. This conversation needed to be recorded. Let me think about your proposal, I said. I need time. Of course. Take all the time you need. She stood up. Oh, and Eleanor, about the will. My heart sped up, but I kept my face neutral. What about it? I understand you want to make changes. That's your right. I just hope you remember that Damien is your only son, and that this house has been his home for 3 years. It would be sad if because of a misunderstanding he lost what is rightfully his. Rightfully his? Yes. You're not going to live forever, Eleanor, and when you're gone, this house should belong to Damien. It's only fair. It's what any mother would do. There it was. No filter, no disguise, waiting for me to die so she could take everything. You're right, I said, my voice tired. I pretended to be weak. It's just, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. Her eyes lit up, like a shark smelling blood. Oh, Eleanor, it's normal to be confused at your age. That's why it's important to trust your family. We only want what's best for you. You do. Of course. Look, why don't you cancel that appointment with the lawyer? We can talk. The 3 of us. As a family, without lawyers involved. It's healthier that way. I don't know. Think about it. Lawyers just complicate things, and they charge a fortune to do it. She came closer. She put her hand on mine. Trust us, Eleanor. Trust your son. I looked her in the eyes. Those eyes I once thought were pretty. Now all I saw was calculation, manipulation, coldness. Okay, I'll think about it. She smiled, victorious. I knew you'd see reason. You're an intelligent woman. She walked out of the kitchen humming a song. I waited 5 minutes, 10, until I was sure she had gone upstairs. Then I took my cell phone out of my robe pocket. I had recorded the entire conversation, every word, every phrase, every veiled threat. You're not going to live forever, Eleanor. This house should belong to Damien. Cancel that appointment with the lawyer. My hands were shaking as I saved the audio file in 3 different places. My phone, my email, the cloud. Trish was right. Manipulators only have power when there are no witnesses. I went up to my room. I called Mr. Montoya. Mrs. Eleanor, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Montoya. I'm confirming my appointment for tomorrow at 10. Perfect. Did you bring the documents I asked for? Yes, and I have something else. A recording. A recording of my daughter-in-law. Admitting she wants me to cancel the appointment with you, and talking about my house as if it's already hers. Silence on the other end. Mrs. Eleanor, that is very valuable evidence. Bring it tomorrow, and I think we should consider stronger protective measures. Like what? An irrevocable trust, a life estate, clauses that prevent the sale of the property, and depending on what you show me tomorrow, perhaps a restraining order if we feel you're at risk. At risk, Mrs. Eleanor, when this much money is involved and someone is waiting for you to die, we have to take precautions. His words chilled my blood. Was I actually at risk? Was Vanessa capable of? No, I didn't want to think about that, but I couldn't be naive either. I'll see you tomorrow, Mr. Montoya. Until tomorrow. And Mrs. Eleanor, be careful. I hung up. I sat on the bed. The phone felt heavy in my hand. I had crossed a point of no return. This wasn't just about setting boundaries anymore. This was about protecting my life, literally. That afternoon, I pretended to be tired. I stayed in my room. I heard Damien and Vanessa talking downstairs. I couldn't make out the words, just the tones. Hers insistent, his hesitant. At 8 p.m., Damien knocked on my door. Mom, can I come in? Come in. He walked in, his face a mask of defeat. Vanessa told me you 2 talked this morning. Yes. She says, you offered to let us pay rent, and you made it difficult. Difficult, Damien? She offered $250 when you 2 cost me $200 to $400 a month. I know, I already told her that, but she says it's all we can do. And what do you say? He sat on the edge of my bed. I say, she doesn't want to change anything, that she's just putting on an act because she's afraid you'll kick her out. And as soon as the danger passes, everything will go right back to how it was. At least he was being honest. And what do you want, son? I want this to work. I want us to be a family, but he covered his face with his hands. But I don't know if it's possible. Not as long as Vanessa is the way she is. Then you're going to have to make a decision. I know. He looked at me, his eyes red. Mom, if you had to choose between your dignity and not being alone, what would you choose? That question hit me in the chest, because it was the exact question I had asked myself for 3 years, and now I had the answer. I would choose my dignity. Because loneliness is temporary, but losing your soul is forever." He nodded slowly. "That's what I thought you'd say." He stood up, walked to the door. He paused. "Mom, whatever happens tomorrow with the lawyer, I'm going to respect your decision. Even if it means losing the house, even if it means losing everything, because I already lost something more important. I lost you, and I want to get you back." He closed the door gently, and I sat there on my bed crying, but not from sadness, from relief. My son was still in there, under the layers of manipulation and fear. He was still there, and tomorrow, we were going to get back what Vanessa had stolen from us, our family, our dignity, our peace. Even if it meant she had to leave forever. The silence had made me weak, but the truth gave me back my power. January 3rd, 9:47 a.m. I dressed with care. Black pants, a white blouse, the gray blazer I used to wear when I was an accountant, low, firm heels. I pulled my hair back, no frills, no distractions. I put on just enough makeup to look awake, alive, in control. The woman in the mirror was not the same one who had fled on December 24th. This woman knew who she was, and she knew what she was worth. I went downstairs at 9:15. Damien was in the living room. Ready? Mom, do you really want me to go? Yes, you're my son. This involves you. And Vanessa, she's coming too. He went pale. Are you sure? Completely. Vanessa appeared on the stairs, a tight beige dress, high heels, perfect makeup, like she was going to a business meeting, which I supposed for her it was. "Good morning, Eleanor. Ready for our little family chat?" Her tone was light, almost mocking. She had no idea what was coming. "Ready?" We left in my car. I drove. Damien sat in the passenger seat. Vanessa sat in the back. The silence was as thick as concrete. Mr. Montoya's office was in a downtown high-rise, old building but elegant, 3rd floor. We walked into the waiting room. Hardwood floors, bookshelves filled with legal codes, the smell of coffee and old paper. The secretary smiled at us. "Mrs. Eleanor, the lawyer is waiting for you. Please go in." We entered his office. Mr. Montoya was in his late 60s, white hair, impeccable suit, an intelligent gaze behind rimless glasses. He stood up. "Mrs. Eleanor, a pleasure to see you." He shook my hand. Then he looked at Damien. "You must be Damien." And finally at Vanessa. "And you are?" "Vanessa, Damien's wife." She held out her hand with a dazzling smile. He shook it with professional courtesy, but I noticed how his eyes hardened, just slightly. He already knew who she was. "Please sit down." We settled in. Me in the center, Damien to my right, Vanessa to my left. The lawyer opened a thick folder full of documents. "Well, Mrs. Eleanor, I'm glad you all came. This will make things easier." "What things?" Vanessa asked. The sweetness was gone. Her voice was sharp. "I'll be direct," the lawyer said. "Mrs. Eleanor came to me a few days ago because she is concerned about her assets. And after reviewing the situation, I am concerned too." "Concerned about what?" Damien sounded genuinely confused. Mr. Montoya took out a document. "This is Mrs. Eleanor's current will, made 8 years ago after her husband's passing. In it, she states that all her assets passed to her only son Damien upon her death." Damien nodded. He knew that. "The problem is this will has no protections, which means upon Mrs. Eleanor's death, you, Damien, would be the absolute owner. And if you are married under community property laws, the house would also be mine," Vanessa finished. The lawyer looked straight at her. "Exactly. And what's the problem? We're married. It's normal to share assets." "The problem," I interjected, "is that this house is my asset. I bought it with my work, and I don't want anyone to be able to sell it or do whatever they want with it when I'm gone." "But Mom," Damien looked hurt. "I would never sell this house. It's our family home." "You wouldn't, but she would." Vanessa went rigid. "Excuse me." I took out my phone. I placed it on the desk. "Mr. Montoya here is the recording I told you about." His eyes lit up. "May I?" I gave him my phone. He connected the audio to a speaker, and then Vanessa's voice filled the office. "You're not going to live forever, Eleanor. And when you're gone, this house should belong to Damien. It's only fair. Cancel that appointment with the lawyer. Lawyers just complicate things. Trust us, Eleanor. Trust your son." The audio ended. Damien's face was distorted. "Vanessa, you said that..." She jumped to her feet. "You recorded me. That's illegal. Here in Illinois," the lawyer said with an icy calm. "A person can record conversations that they are a part of. It is perfectly legal." "But you took it out of context." "What context?" My voice came out firm. "The context where you ask me to cancel my appointment with my lawyer. The context where you talk about my house as if it's already yours. I just wanted us to resolve this as a family." "No," Damien said. His voice was shaking. You wanted to manipulate my mom so she wouldn't protect herself. Damien, it's true. And I was an idiot for not seeing it sooner. The lawyer held up a hand. I believe it's time to discuss the solutions. He took out more documents. Mrs. Eleanor and I have prepared a new will. Allow me to explain how it will work. He placed the papers on the desk. First, the house will be placed into an irrevocable trust. Mrs. Eleanor retains a life estate. She can live there, rent it, modify it, but she cannot sell it or give it away. Second, upon her passing, the house passes to Damien, but under the following conditions. It cannot be sold for 10 years. It cannot be mortgaged. And if Damien decides to rent it, 40% of the profits will go to a foundation for elderly women in vulnerable situations. Third, if Damien attempts to violate these clauses, the house automatically passes to that foundation. Vanessa was livid. That is absurd. He's her son. You can't put conditions on him like that. I can, and I am, I said, because this house represents 40 years of my work, and I will not allow it to end up being sold to pay for debts or whims. Fourth, the lawyer continued, given that Damien and Vanessa currently live on the property, the following is established. If you wish to continue living there, you will pay a monthly rent of $1,500. $1,500, Vanessa screamed. He's her son. She's going to charge her own son rent. It's below market rate for a house that size in this suburb, the lawyer replied. In fact, she could charge more. And fifth, I continued, if you do not agree to these conditions, you have 30 days to vacate the house. The silence that followed was deafening. Damien stared at the documents as if they were written in another language. Vanessa was breathing heavily. Her hands were shaking. This is abuse, she finally said. Damien, are you going to let your mother treat you like this? Damien looked up. He looked at me, and in his eyes, I saw something I hadn't seen in years. Clarity. Mom is right. What? She's right. We've taken advantage of her. I have taken advantage of her. And if these conditions are what she needs to feel secure in her own home, I accept them. Damien, you're crazy. $1,500 a month? We can't pay that. Then we'll find another place. Vanessa looked at him like she didn't recognize him. Are you serious? Completely. You're going to choose your mother over me. I'm going to choose to do the right thing for the first time in 3 years. She grabbed her purse, stood up. Fine. Perfect. I hope you two enjoy your little house and your little rules. She looked at me with pure hatred. You won, Eleanor. Congratulations. You get to keep your house and your son, but you'll be alone, because no one is going to want to be near a bitter old woman who chooses control over family. Vanessa, the lawyer said, I suggest you leave before you say something you might legally regret. Legally? Are you threatening me? Defamation is a crime. I am simply advising you. She let out a hysterical laugh. This is unbelievable. It's 3 against 1. No one is against you, Damien said. We are just setting boundaries that we should have set years ago. Boundaries, Damien, if you stay here. If you accept this, I'm leaving. We all looked at her. The ultimatum was on the table. Damien took a deep breath. I saw his hands shake. I saw his eyes fill with tears. But I also saw his spine straighten. Then you can go. Vanessa froze. What? I said you can go. If you can't respect my mom, if you can't live under fair conditions, if all you want to do is control and manipulate, then I don't want to be with you anymore. Damien, you can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. She looked at each of us, looking for an ally, looking for a crack. She found none. You are going to regret this, she said, her voice full of venom. All 3 of you. And she stormed out, slamming the door so hard the bookshelves trembled. The silence she left behind was strange. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was liberating, like after a storm ends and the air smells like a new beginning. Damien sank into his chair. He covered his face with his hands, and he wept. He wept like he hadn't wept since he was a child. I got up. I knelt beside him. I hugged him. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. It's okay, son. It's over. I loved her. Or I thought I did, but I just realized I don't even know who I am without her telling me what to think. Now, you get to find out. The lawyer gave us a few minutes. Then, with professional delicacy, Mrs. Eleanor, do you wish to sign the documents? Yes. Damien. My son lifted his head. He wiped his tears. Me too. We signed, one by one, the documents that protected my assets, my dignity, my future, and my son's too. We left the office just after noon. The sun was shining brightly. The sky was clear. What do we do now? Damien asked. Now, we go home, we make some lunch, and we start over. Just like that, and just that complicated. He laughed, a sad but real laugh. Mom, thank you. For what? For not giving up on me, for fighting, for reminding me who I'm supposed to be. I hugged him right there on the street. I will always fight for you, son, but I'm done fighting against myself to do it. We got home at 2 in the afternoon. Vanessa's clothes were gone. She had emptied her side of the closet, her things from the bathroom, her shoes. She had left a note on the bed. Damien, when you come to your senses and realize the mistake you've made, it will be too late. I hope you, your mom, and her house make you happy, because I'm done trying. V. My son read the note. He folded it. He put it in his pocket. Are you okay? I asked. No, but I will be. That night we ate dinner together. Just the two of us. I made tortilla soup, the kind he loved when he was little. Sweet bread, hot coffee. We ate in the dining room. We talked about everything and nothing, about Robert, about how much we missed him, about how he would have handled this, about our mistakes, about what we learned, about the future, and for the first time in 3 years, my house felt like home again. But the story wasn't over, because Vanessa was right about one thing. There would be consequences, and some of them would change everything in ways I never imagined. I learned that it is never too late to choose yourself. February 15th, 2 months later. I woke up to the smell of coffee drifting up from the kitchen. I smiled before I even opened my eyes. Damien had started getting up early, making breakfast, seeking me out to talk before his workday started. Small gestures, but they meant everything. I came downstairs in my robe. He was at the stove making scrambled eggs. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, son. He poured me a coffee without me asking, with a splash of milk. Just how I like it. I have 3 meetings with potential clients today, he said, putting the plates on the table. If this goes well, I could have the business back on its feet by June. I'm so happy to hear that. And, Mom, I have something to tell you. His tone was serious. My heart sped up. What's wrong? I found an apartment, a small one in a different neighborhood. I'm going to move out. I felt a pit in my stomach. You're leaving. It's not that I want to leave, but I need to learn to stand on my own feet, to not depend on you, and to be the man Dad would have wanted me to be. He took my hand. I'm going to pay my own rent. I'm going to cook my own food. I'm going to wash my own clothes. All the things I stopped doing because it was easier to let you do them. My eyes filled with tears. I'm so proud of you. I'll come visit twice a week, and I want us to have dinner together every Sunday, if you want to, of course. Of course I want to. And Mom, I've been going to therapy. Really? Yeah, for 3 weeks now, with a psychologist who's helping me understand how I got so lost, how I let someone control me like that. I'm so glad, son. And there's something else. He took a deep breath. Vanessa called me 2 weeks ago. My stomach tensed. What did she want? She wanted to get back together. She said it was a mistake, that she missed me, that we could find a way to make it work. And what did you tell her? I told her no, that I needed time alone, that I needed to heal, and that if we were ever to get back together, it would be under completely different conditions, with clear boundaries, with mutual respect. How did she take it? She got angry. She said I had changed, that I wasn't the same person. He smiled. And she was right. I'm not the same person, and I don't ever want to be again. I hugged him, long, tight. Your father would be so proud of you. I know, and I think I'm finally starting to be proud of myself too. That afternoon the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there stood Harry, with flowers, sunflowers. Hello, Eleanor. My heart did a little jump I wasn't expecting. Harry, what are you doing here? Trish told me you'd be alone today, and I thought maybe you'd like some company for coffee. I smiled. I'd love that. He came in. I made coffee. We took out some cake I had made that morning. We sat in the living room, my living room, which was starting to feel like mine again. I had reclaimed the space. Little by little, I'd rehung my paintings. I put the family photos back on the shelves. I bought new plants, and even though my grandmother's sideboard never came back, I placed a small table with her photograph by the entrance. Your house feels different, Harry said. Different how, alive, like it's breathing. That's because I can finally breathe in it. We sat in comfortable silence, the kind of silence that only exists between people who don't need to fill every second with words. Eleanor, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. Tell me, these past 2 months, we've talked almost every day, on the phone, by text, and I've enjoyed every single conversation. Me too. I'd like for this to be more than conversations. My heart sped up. What do you mean? I would like to take you to dinner, officially, as what could be the beginning of something. Harry, I'm 68 years old. I've been through 1 marriage. I have an adult son. A complicated life. And I'm 72. I have 3 kids, 2 grandkids, a house full of memories, and a complicated life too. He took my hand. But having a complicated life doesn't mean we don't deserve company, that we don't deserve laughter, that we don't deserve the possibility of something new. I looked into his eyes, those kind eyes that had seen me at my worst and had never judged. I don't know if I'm ready. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing to try. I thought about Robert, about what he would have wanted for me, and I knew with absolute certainty that he would have wanted me to be happy. Okay, I accept. His smile lit up the whole room. Saturday. March came with rain. Damien moved into his apartment. I cried the day he left, but they were tears of pride, not loss, because I knew that now he was ready to live his own life, to build his own path. He came for dinner on Sundays. Sometimes he brought dessert. Sometimes I cooked his favorite meals. We talked, we laughed, we healed, and slowly we recovered what Vanessa had broken. Harry and I started dating regularly, to the movies, to museums, walks in the park, to small restaurants where the food was more important than the picture for Instagram. It wasn't fireworks or teenage drama. It was something better. It was companionship, understanding, respect. It was two people who had lived long enough to know that real love isn't perfect. It's patient. It's kind. It's choosing every day to be there. One afternoon in April, I was in the garden watering my plants when my cell phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Mrs. Eleanor Aguirre. Yes, this is she. This is Northwestern Hospital. Your name is listed as the emergency contact for a Mrs. Vanessa Ruiz. My blood ran cold. What happened? Mrs. Ruiz was in a car accident. It's not serious, but she needs someone to come get her. Her husband Damien isn't answering. We're not. I stopped. Vanessa was alone, hurt, and no one was coming for her. I could hang up, say it wasn't my problem. It would be fair. It would be understandable, but it wouldn't be who I wanted to be. I'm on my way. I got to the hospital 40 minutes later. I found her in the emergency room, arm in a cast, scrapes on her face, sitting alone in a plastic chair. When she saw me, her eyes went wide. Eleanor. Hello, Vanessa. What are you doing here? They called me. I'm your emergency contact. You shouldn't have come. I know. We looked at each other. Two women who had been enemies, who had hurt each other, who had lost so much in the war. How are you? I asked. Fine. Nothing serious. Just a broken bone and a broken ego. She gave a small, joyless laugh. You don't have to stay. I already called a friend. Are you sure? Yes. I turned to leave. Eleanor. I stopped. Yes. I'm sorry. For everything. For how I treated you, for what I did. For what? Her voice broke. You were right about everything. I just wanted security, and I turned into someone horrible trying to get it. I didn't answer right away. I let her words hang in the air between us. We all make mistakes, Vanessa. The difference is whether we learn from them. Did you learn? I learned not to stay silent. I learned that self-love isn't selfish. I learned that it's okay to set boundaries. She nodded slowly. Damien is better off without me. Damien is better off being himself, with or without you. That's the difference. Do you think he'll ever be able to forgive me? I don't know, but you should start by forgiving yourself, and then work on being someone who deserves forgiveness. Her friend arrived 15 minutes later. I said goodbye. As I was walking out, Vanessa called my name one last time. Eleanor. Yes. Thank you for coming, even though I didn't deserve it. Everyone deserves compassion. At least once. I walked out of the hospital feeling something strange. It wasn't joy at her pain. It was peace. Peace knowing that I chose to be a better person than the pain that was inflicted on me. December came again. 1 year since that Christmas that changed everything. This time the house was full. Damien and his new girlfriend Sarah, a kind architect who looked at him with genuine respect. Trish, who had come up from Santa Fe. Harry, of course. Two of my neighbors who had always supported me. And me. In my house. My space. My reclaimed home. I made the turkey, creamed spinach, hot spiked cider, gingerbread because I liked it even if it wasn't the season. We laughed, we sang carols, we exchanged small, meaningful gifts, and when we raised our glasses for a toast, I looked around the table. These were the people I chose to have in my life, and the ones who chose me. A toast? Harry proposed. Yes, everyone answered. I stood up, glass in hand. I want to toast to second chances, to learning to say no, to finding your voice after years of silence, to sons who learn to grow up, to friends who hold your hand, and to loves that arrive when you least expect them. Everyone raised their glasses. And to remembering, I continued, that it is never, ever too late to choose yourself. Cheers! The glasses clinked. The music played, laughter filled my house, and right there, surrounded by light and love and reclaimed dignity, I understood something deep. The real treasure was never the house. It was getting my soul back. That night, after everyone had left, I sat on my bed. I took out a photo. The photo from that Christmas in Santa Fe. Harry and me, smiling. The photo that changed everything. And I smiled, because that woman in the picture, that woman who dared to buy a plane ticket, who dared to set boundaries, who dared to take her life back, that woman was me, and I was never going to forget her again. Final reflection. If you are listening to this story and you feel invisible in your own home, let me tell you something I learned along the way. You matter. Your dignity is not negotiable. Your voice deserves to be heard, and it is never, listen to me, never too late to take your life back. I was 68 years old when I decided I'd had enough. How old are you? It doesn't matter. What matters is this. Today can be your day one. The day you buy the ticket. The day you set the boundary. The day you say, no more. Because true wealth isn't what you own. It's what you refuse to let anyone take from you. Your peace, your dignity, your right to be happy. Don't give it away, ever again. If this story touched your heart, I want to know where you're listening from. Write your city or country in the comments. I would love to know that these stories are reaching every corner of the world where women and men need to remember their value. Give this a like if this story made you feel something. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to keep hearing stories of people who refused to stay silent, because we all deserve a second chance, and we all deserve to be happy. Until the next story, take good care, and remember, your voice matters.